or welcome back to the 8th concession. My name is Natalie. Winter is truly here on the 8th concession. We're getting down to minus 14, minus 16 Celsius overnight. Everything's pretty frozen outside, which is good that maybe we'll get some skating in on the pond soon, but it's pretty cold for chores outside. And there's nothing better on a cold winter day than some homemade soup. And that's what I'm going to do today. Now this recipe is for potato soup, but German potato soup. I call it that because it was my mother's recipe. And this potato soup is not a cream-based potato soup like you can buy in the stores in cans and things. This is a broth-based potato soup. It's dairy-free, it's super delicious, and I'm going to make that for supper tonight. So in my big soup pot, I am going to put 3 sausages. Now the recipe calls for Mettwurst, which is a very smoky, somewhat spicy German sausage. I don't have any of that today. I haven't been to a market where I could find that. So I'm just substituting some smoked sausage. The smokier the better, the tangier the better. I have to use whatever I have today. These are just 3 smoked sausages. And then a soup bone, sometimes called a shank. This is from the half a cow that we get each year. So I'm going to put in my soup bone. You can see it's fairly meaty, which is what you want. And then I'm going to cover this with some beef broth. I don't have any homemade right now, so I'm just going to use some store-bought beef broth. You want enough liquid to cover them. You can see that's not quite enough to cover them, so I'm just going to add some water and bring it to a boil. So it's about 10 minutes, it's come to a boil, and you can see there's a little bit of sort of foam on the top. We're going to get rid of that. Now, to our broth and sausage and shank or soup bone, we're going to add our leeks. About half a large leek, my recipe says. These are the leeks that I bought and froze back in the fall. I got a good deal, pardon me, on some of the leeks from the store because the leeks in my garden did not do well last year. So I just chopped them and froze them. This is about a cup, I think. And they go still frozen. Now this is celery root, which I've also frozen. So I'm growing some this year, but again, I had to buy this one. So they come in a big root like this. This is a quarter of it. It's peeled, it's chopped. I hope that my own celery root does well in my garden this year. In the celery root goes. And then I've chopped a medium onion, and in that goes. Now we're going to give this a stir, and we are going to let this cook away for about an hour. I should mention that I've turned the heat down to low. You want it to simmer, not a full boil for the hour, and you want to cover it. So while that is simmering away, I'm going to prep the carrots and potatoes. I'm going to dice about 3 carrots and 10 to 12 medium potatoes. Some of these are a bit more on the large side, so I'll just guesstimate. Now it doesn't matter if the size of the potatoes is not completely equal because these are going to be mashed once they cook. You just want them roughly the same size so they cook evenly. There we go. That looks great. Now we're going to remove the sausage and the soup bone. Hopefully leave most of the vegetables in there. These things don't want to come out. And to our leeks and onion and celery root, we're going to add the potatoes and the carrots that we prepared. I drained most of the water off the potatoes. And there they go. We're going to leave the meat out for now and let these cook down nice and soft for about another hour or so. It's been about an hour and a half of simmering. Soup is looking great. So now we're going to add a bit of fresh ground pepper. Oh, it's a bit too big. And then we're going to mash the ingredients together. This is why it didn't really matter about it being a uniform size for the pieces. You can see it makes a really thick and hearty soup. Now we're going to add the meat back in, which we are going to cut up. Now, the last thing my mother always did was she would take about 2 slices of bacon and about an equal amount of onion, a tiny onion, a bit of onion, and saute them together. And at the end, I just add a bit of Maggi. I wish you could smell the delicious smell coming off this soup. It is so thick and hearty, it'll warm you up on even the coldest winter day. So that's it. Thanks for joining me as I made my mother's German potato soup for a cold winter's day. Bye for now.